I saw they're talking about it. I mean, they're constantly talking about it with um, the lockdown and everything like that. But they're talking about canceling a lot of student loan debt. I've been seeing the rebuttal for a lot of older people, especially like 40s, 50s that recently stopped paying their student loans. They'll hit us with, what about all the student loans I had to pay? I don't give a fuck about that.
Mr. Bradley. Mr. Bradley.
Like me trying to get a vaccine, and they're like, what about the disease I had to fight? Why are you getting the flu vaccine? I had to fight the flu when I was a kid. You should have to too. Shut the fuck up. But then that really got me thinking about college in general and what was going on in college. And in relationship to this channel, how much weed I was smoking in college. And then I was thinking also why I was smoking that much weed. Why did I wake up in the morning, smoke before class? If I didn't smoke before class, class was canceled. I would wake up, jump in a hot box, jump out of hot box, go to class loud, jump back in a hot box. Miss the next class, go to the gym, smoke, and usually smoke for the rest of the day. We'll go to the gym again. That was like how I went to college. That was like my day-to-day college, especially before I left for a year and came back. When I came back, it was a little bit more professional, but I was really heavy into Addy at that point, to be honest. Like, that was in college, like, that was just me trying to hold on just to get a degree, just to tell my parents that they could be proud of their kid type shit. I remember college. I just remember, which for me, it's only a few years ago. It wasn't too long ago, but I really remember, and I'm thinking why I was smoking so much. Why I try to reflect on these things so I know, like, right now in my life, what are the things in my life to where, or why I'm smoking so much. And a lot of times that's because of inactivity. That's because of boredom and self-imposed boredom. Everybody has something they can be doing, something to keep their brain active, something to keep their mind active, however you want to put it. But a lot of college, for me, the whole entire thing was boring. You know, it was mostly boredom. I wasn't interested in big, crowded-ass parties with people sweating neck to neck and getting rolled up by some sweaty girl that just rolled up another guy and had her hands in his pants. Like, that wasn't the scene that I wanted to be in. I wasn't interested in being in class at all. I went to probably like 45% of them. And I graduated cum laude. I had a 3.5. Shout out Addy for that. Shout out really good high school, really good middle school. I went to private school growing up, so college was mostly repetitive. Most of the college courses I had taken, I'd probably learned by like the 7th or 8th grade for the most part. So, like, a lot of college was really just miss 2 weeks of class, pop a Addy, learn the last 2 to 3 weeks, take the test, do well, and smoke the next 2 weeks away until I have to take another test. That was like how I did school. You know, it was Addy, weed dependency 95% of the time, and every now and then trying to maybe get something out of it. And looking back, I could have got more out of it outside of the classroom. For me, in college, in school in general, I was so focused on not enjoying class and how much I hated class and how much I didn't want to listen to these old white people talk to me about a life that I felt like they didn't probably even understand for mine. Like I'm getting advice from a 75-year-old white person, you know, on how I'm supposed to conduct myself. Like, what? And I'm paying him $2,000 to teach me about a life he's never even thought of. Interesting. So I would just get baked and just laugh at what these old people had to say. But like I said, there were some opportunities outside of the classroom, some external learning opportunities that I could have taken advantage of better. I did take advantage of some of them. I did win some competitions. I got to do intramural sports. I definitely hung out with friends. I did stuff in school. Don't let me think, let you think I just sat inside. And I did a lot of this stuff, for real. I created a lot of media. Social media accounts. If you're familiar, this account, actually, I created this, Black Faces in Dope Places. It's a travel page on Instagram. Got that up to like 24K. Like, I did a lot in college. Constantly was doing stuff, but just not the traditional bullshit that I was paying for. I was really just smoking through all that. And they say college is supposed to be the best time of your life. That's subjective. I hope it's not. Or my life's going to be boring as fuck. Because college was cool, but it wasn't that cool. It wasn't the coolest thing in my life, I hope cool. High school was more fun than college. So I guess already off top, it's already not the coolest thing I've done. But my life's gotten better since I left. And I still smoke a decent amount. But I feel like it's for different reasons often. In school, it was to really just not even think about what I was doing. All right, I'm in class. Let me get baked. Let me take this nap, get this attendance so I can get back home and do something that might actually benefit me and be free. And then, like I said, so I took a break. I went to online school for a year. I snowboarded and worked. That's what I did during my break of a year between my junior and senior year. And so when I came back for my senior year, really just one semester, I took a summer classes and then one semester. It was more like a business thing, you know? It was like, this class is literally fiscally too expensive for me to fail. I started realizing, like, I'm getting older, 21, 22 years old. I'm starting to realize each one of these classes is $1,200. I'm not failing this bitch because I'm not retaking it. And it's not even that I couldn't retake it and pass it. It's like, I'm not retaking this. I'm not paying $1,200 to listen to this person talk to me again. I'm not paying $1,200 to sit in this friendly racist as institution. And yes, I said friendly racist because Texas Tech is probably the friendliest racist school you could ever go to. The friendliest segregated school you could ever imagine, Systems of segregation ingrained so deeply in society and so deeply in our school culture that it didn't even seem out of the norm. I could do a whole video about that. But so walking around feeling that, going into a class, never having an African American professor, going on campus and learning a lot of outdated, very expensive information. As a whole, I just didn't feel like I was accomplishing anything in life, and that made me feel like inadequate, and that made me feel like I needed to be doing anything I could do to have my head gone. Like, I was drinking way more. Anything that I could do to, like, fight the depression of wasting so much time in my life, at least at the time is what I felt like, was like I was just anything. And school was so easy that like I could go to school, cooked off 2-3 substances, whatever. I could add weed, alcohol, all mixed together, no sleep for 2 days, and still do fine. So with those situations being in place, like, that's what I was doing. And that this is an honest moment for me, saying that, like, that definitely wasn't the best way for me to be using my time, and going back, I could have used it in a different way. But with the information I had at that time and with the information I have today, I understand why at that time I was struggling so bad, because most of that shit was useless. But a lot of it wasn't. I learned a lot. I learned a lot. Did I learn multiple hundreds of $1,000s worth of information? Maybe. But it's not really about what you learn in the classroom. It's about what the education you force yourself to. I took 10, 15 trips in college. Like, those were my education trips. Like, I was constantly going places, meeting new people, women, men everywhere. You know what I'm saying? It didn't matter. In all different walks of life, everywhere, as much as I possibly could. Spent a lot of time in the park system out there. Lubbock has some nice-ass parks. And they be in the hood, too, though. Lubbock got these beautiful-ass parks smack dab in the middle of Murder Row, Lubbock. So college was an interesting time, and I was just wondering why I was smoking so much weed in college. And some of this video and these videos a lot of times often help me kind of talk through these things, kind of introduce ideas as to why I may have been thinking or may have been doing what I was doing at that time. Because if you learn kind of like more about your past self, it can really help you, just like any type of history, you know, it can help you really like learn. Because I'll go through some of the same challenges I went through in college in terms of like loneliness, in terms of helplessness, in terms of feeling useless. Like, everybody goes through these type of emotions, and if you can deal with them or cope with them better the second time around because you already dealt with them when you were younger, maybe that's the value college has for me, is I'll probably never feel as useless again. You know? I can't imagine feeling as useless as I did as a college student, as useless to society, as useless to myself as I did as a college student. Like, I didn't understand what any of that shit was for. To this day, I hardly understand what any of that shit was for. Multiple years later, it's still tough to digest. Like, what was that shit for that everybody told you you needed? And why is it set up like that? Why is it set up like that? Why do I have to go for 4 years? Why do 2 of those years you have to learn stupid shit? 3 of those years. I took probably, I would say, 4 useful classes in college. They made me take 4 to 5 a semester for 4 semesters, you know? So not a fourth of it, a 16th of it, a 17th of it was useful. What the fuck? Nah, bro, they really like milk you for money. That's what takes away from the college experience. It's not the education. Education is good. It's good to learn things. It's good to learn things you're interested in. But to have to drug up, like most of us have to do these days, to learn a wealth of information that's now been accumulated across the internet. It's all these old people that are like, man, we had to study hard. Yeah, you had to study hard, and the internet makes stuff easier, but the internet also makes more information available for these teachers to put in this shit. You know, like, we know a lot more than people knew back then because we're getting so much new information every single day that was impossible for you to get before the internet. And especially high-speed internet and Wi-Fi everywhere, and LTE networks, 5G, 4G, all that shit makes information move so much faster and just makes it so much easier for us to have to learn more shit. And this isn't me complaining about that, but it is saying that this idea of giving 100% in 8 different areas in college is fucking ridiculous. Or some of the prerequisites to move on to other things you learn later weren't really necessary as basics or fundamentals. It just feels like another stepping stone to make you pay more money. It doesn't feel like value giving. I don't know. But what I do know is I was chilling, I was smoking, I was hanging out with friends. I made a lot of good friends, met a lot of really cool people, made a lot of really good connections. It gave me really the opportunity to get support from my family and get away from them still, you know, because if I had moved away and not gone to college, they wouldn't have supported me. That's just how it was. So because of that, it gave me that opportunity to have time to figure out what I wanted to do with the farce of me going to school and actually doing all that other stupid shit, all the shit that's supposed to go along with college, like the meeting with the counselors and job fairs, and like I didn't do any of that stuff. For me, that's not the value I found in college. And looking back, do I wish I had done any of that stuff? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But we all have different paths. I have some friends that have some very good jobs now, and the job fair is where they got those good jobs, and that's the life they want to be living. So the job fair was beneficial to them. So guys, in college, my word of advice for you, I guess, would really be to take the time in school, take the time in college to study yourself for real, more than studying books. Take that time with the bountiful of time you have. Like in my life, I've created a lot of time. Like I have a lot of time to myself, a lot of time to think, because that's how I've structured my life. But most people, college, if they go, is the time. Some people, high school is the last time in their life to where. Some people, middle school is the last time in their life where they really get to sit down and think about who they are, what they like, what they need to be doing to get where they need to be. But college, if you go, more than likely, you have the time to do that. Even if you have a job, you have the time to do it. Even if you're a college athlete, you have the time to do it. You have less time, don't get me wrong. You have far less time, but you still have more time than these parents that have jobs do. And you still have more time than, if you're a college athlete, you have more time than professional athletes have with children. You have time in there to really learn more about yourself and who you are. So if weed helps you do that, use weed. If weed doesn't help you do that, don't use weed. But enjoy it. Appreciate you guys tuning in for another episode.